Today, I want to talk about how to succeed in business, how to not only succeed, but thrive and make a lot of money in your business and do very well. Whether you're starting a new business or you have a business already and you want to grow that and make it even better and greater. Now, that's a very daunting, bold claim. And you might be like, well, how do you know this? Well, I am not really someone with all the answers. However, I've spent a lot of time studying some of the most successful businesses of all time through a large variety of sources, including a lot of people who have spent themselves 10, 20 years studying the most successful businesses and how they did it, and then putting that into a single book and then teaching you these, statistical numbers and science and all that stuff. So, let's get to it. Now, this is going to be a sort of, how do you say this, BuzzFeed, digestible, short style video because, this is YouTube. People aren't going to stick around for 60 minutes of me just talking away here. So I'm just going to give you the most hard-hitting points and see what you can do to succeed even more. Now, here's one thing I found very fascinating. The first thing is you should have a deep interest in what you're doing, as well as have very definable core values, and these oftentimes have nothing to do with making money. So why I think this works, and there's actually a great book called Good to Great that goes into a lot of science behind eerily a lot of really great companies who follow these guidelines. But I think why this works is because, first off, just making money seems to be a very, very weak reason to go about doing something. And long story short, you will fail when times get tough and you don't want to persevere. In my own story, this has happened many times myself, when I wanted to become a doctor and I just kept going, and I wasn't really interested anymore, despite the required readings getting more thick and harder and whatever. It just was too much. So long story short, have an actual interest in what you do. I find a lot of successful billionaires, they're really interested in what they did, and they didn't do it for the money. They did it because they loved what they were doing, and they had these core values that they wanted to bring across. For instance, I want to be on the cutting edge of innovation, and our company will supply that and provide the most integrated technological advances, whatever. So that's just one example. The second thing, because that's not the only thing, there's a lot of different things. The second thing, and I think this is probably the simplest way of saying it, and this comes from the great mind of Warren Buffett, one of the most successful businessmen and investors in history. And he just has this way of making complicated things so simple and understandable for anyone. And he says, you want to create a durable competitive advantage and every day expand that advantage. It's so simple. And yet, if you look at almost any business, that's pretty much one of the core things that you should look at. And I thoroughly agree with him. It is the nature of any type of industry for competitors to come in and attack you or attack your castle and try and copy what you do and so forth. When there's money to be made or whatever else, there are plenty of people who have no problems, no ethical issues with copying you exactly. It will happen. So expect it to happen, because I see a lot of people complaining that people will copy others. And sure, sometimes it's not very nice. You don't want it to happen. And for specific areas like music and art and books and movies, there are legal laws against that. However, there are other areas where copying is less, there's no laws against it. You won't be arrested if you copy someone. So those places, it gets tougher. One of them is business. So for instance, if you make a belt in a specific way, like someone on Shark Tank did, you will be copied. Apparently, there's this huge scandal when basically this guy on Shark Tank found out his brother copied him exactly. Long story short, how are you going to expand that moat? Your moat is what protects your castle. So every day you're looking at how can you expand that durable competitive advantage so that people cannot easily come in and steal what you're doing. So this is why long story short, I tend to stay away from commodities or anything like that. So basically, Warren Buffett has this phrase: "I'm a better investor because I'm a businessman, and I'm a better businessman because I'm an investor." And because I read a lot of books in business and investing, I look at it from both of these perspectives, which are very, very different, and yet they definitely help each other. As the investor, I'm thinking, if I were to invest in a company, and I only had like five choices to invest in five companies throughout my entire lifetime, I have to think really hard what I'm going to invest in. And I'm definitely not going to invest in some type of commodity that can be easily copied, like clothing. Like I find it very, very tough when people try and get into like specific businesses like clothing or whatever else, like food, because it's like, it's just a hat. And it looks like every other hat out there, but it has your brand on it. Do you really think you have any type of durable competitive advantage? And yet people start a brand, clothing brand every day. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing here? So if you are in the clothing brand, that doesn't mean necessarily give up, but how can you expand that durable competitive advantage? Now, this video is getting pretty long. And again, as you can tell, I could talk about this for hours. The last thing I want to say is, take that with what you've heard and apply it to what you can do right now. If you are a personality, a brand, or whatever else, how can you expand that advantage so it cannot be easily eroded? For some people, that basically means, well, you can't really copy what this guy does because it's just very, very tough to do it because they're not as interested, or they can't do it as well. For me specifically, at least this is what I think my advantage is on just my internet presence. No one really, very few people are as interested in actually walk to walk and read as many books and actually consume as much business knowledge and success and self-development knowledge as me. They may claim to do so, but like this is something where like if you don't walk the walk, it will show over time. So I actually read the books and stuff, and therefore it just naturally thins the crop. Is it easy? No. Are there times when I get a little bit bored? Yes. However, for the most part, my advantage comes in my knowledge and my constant reading and referencing with that, versus other people who try and come in and try and attack that. It's very tough for them to do because guess what? They're lazy. They don't actually like reading. They're doing it just for the money or whatever else. That doesn't even make sense because, there's not really much money to be made. But the point is, start using that for your own stuff. Look at your business, your product, your brand, and how can that be strengthened over time? If you're just like everyone else and you're selling just another like six-pack abs workout program, what makes that person want to buy your product over another person? And even if you don't have competitors now, a year or 5 years down the line, they will come in. And if you have nothing unique or better or stellar and you don't have a durable competitive advantage, you will be overtaken. Now, there's quite a few books on the different ways you can expand a durable competitive advantage. Some of them are kind of dense and more complicated for the beginner to take up, so I won't recommend them here, but just as a quick go-to, there's multiple ways. One of them is economies of scales. It's basically a fancy term for like you have a ton of money, like billions of dollars, and therefore it's very hard for people to manufacture anything you make at the same cost, so you succeed just by your size. So it works great for big fashion companies like Nike, but for you that probably won't work, right? Or will it? Who knows? Maybe you're a big company owner right now. So that's one way. Now, how can you look to expand your economies of scale? Well, you can grow even larger. What's another way that you can do so? Well, another way is through maybe brand recognition, brand reputation. So guess what? Surprise, surprise. Beats by Dr. Dre and Louis Vuitton are selling stuff for like 10 times what they're manufacturing them at. And their competitors are creating better quality products, sometimes 2 or 3 times higher quality stuff, and selling them at a fraction of the cost. And yet, why is everyone flooded to Beats and Louis Vuitton? Because they're the premium brand and they have spent a lot of money using brand integration to succeed rather than, commodity cost method. Now, this doesn't always work the best, because if you have such a high inflated cost, then guess what? You start to screw yourself over in other ways. But generally speaking, it still works pretty darn well. So that's that. And then you have, just Apple, for instance. Long story short, at the forefront of ease of use, actual utility and value in terms of the iPhone and how you can use it for recording. In fact, I'm recording right now on my iPhone. Just by natural ease of use, simplicity, cutting edge technology, they win. So what can you do? That's all I gotta say. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later. Peace.